Hello, my little smut muffins and romance connoisseurs. Welcome back to Beth's Naughty Reads. Today, I'm going to be telling you about K.F. Breen's. Could be Breenie, it could be Brene, but I'm going with Breen's Obsidian. There's so many ways we could say her name. We're going with the safe one. A little bit about the author. K.F. Breen is a Wall Street Journal, USA Today, Washington Post, and Amazon Charts bestselling author of paranormal romance, urban fantasy, and fantasy novels. She says that when she's not writing or penning stories about magic and what goes bump in the night, she's sipping wine and planning shenanigans, and she sounds like I want to be friends with her. I love both of those things. So, again, we're looking at Obsidian, and Obsidian is book one of the Shadowbound Fae Duet. I picked this book up because, for one, it was all over social media. I kept seeing it. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was loving it. And also because the spa that I go to, there is a girl named Alexa that works there, and we give each other book recommendations every time we see each other. And she kept giving me this one. There's probably 2 or 3 months that she kept asking, "Did you read it? Did you read it?" And I finally decided it was time to read it. And I'm so happy that I did. So the main female character in Obsidian, her name is Daisy. She's tiny, petite little thing, and she is known as a Chester in her world, which is a magicless human. She has a found family that she's found in another series that was the Demigods of San Francisco series. And her family is Lexi and Mordecai. And she's a demigod, and Mordecai is a shifter. Because she is so fragile, Lexi gives her some of her blood, and this getting blood from a demigod makes her not invincible per se, but it does make her faster, stronger, and lets her heal quicker. Because she exists in a world she shouldn't be in, and because she's supposed to be fragile, she has been training her whole life with Zorn, who is basically like an uncle for her. He teaches her how to fight and protect herself, and she's basically been doing this since the age of 12. She is a badass, and no matter what happens, she remains calm and recalls her training. You'll see her quoting Zorn often in the book, like things like Zorn quote trickled into her mind. One must never let down one's guard, even when the enemy is on the very brink of death. So she really does take his training seriously. She really does use it, and she recalls it when necessary. The main male character is Tarian. Tarian is everything you would expect a dark, broody Fae man would be. He's lethal, dangerous, handsome, and full of secrets. And so you find when the book opens, Daisy is getting ready and she is plotting revenge for her brother, Mordecai, whose girlfriend has betrayed him and really kind of shamed and embarrassed him publicly. And so she wants to get even for him. And in doing this mission, she learns that there's a buyer in town who's there to purchase hard to find items with special purposes. She's not sure what that means, so she wants to look into it a little further. And she discovers he's looking for the chalice, something that would allow the dark Fae King and his army through the Fae Gate. And the Fae Gate is what protects the humans and keeps the Fae on their side so they can't invade and make the humans their slaves. So once she's done kind of looking at, the goods, she is called to, right before she walks off, she's called to a particular item that just looks like an old rectangular stone, but it is calling to her. So she picks it up. And at first it does nothing. And then suddenly she can feel the hum of its power. And it basically travels through her arm and up to her body and settles in her chest before it goes dormant and basically goes quiet. So she's not sure what's happening, but she just blows it off and decides she's going to take it with her and they can figure out what's happening. On her way out of this job, she encounters a Fae assassin that basically becomes fixated on her. And that Fae is Tarian. And he begins invading Daisy's life, both reality and in her dreams. So she's run into him before and he caused devastation the first time she met him. So this time she's really weary of him. And he's got this, he drives this overpowering need in her to like be with him, to touch him, to, fully understand him. They don't understand why this is happening. They're fighting it with everything that they have. And on another mission, to find out more about the chalice and the king's plan to breach the gate, Daisy gets kidnapped and taken to the Faeland. So she's kidnapped by another group of Fae, and she's discovered that apparently more than one Fae group is out to find her and figure out what this chalice is. Eventually, Taryn rescues her, but he doesn't let her go. He's now keeping her against her will and her wishes for what he's trying to do. He's cold, he's calculated, but like I've said, there's moments where she can swear he cares about her and wants her, but is fighting their attraction. And then he's doing things like sacrificing himself to ensure she survives and is unharmed 1 second, and then putting her in these dangerous situations to prove herself the next second. And it just is really confusing for her. Once they get over to the Fae world together while still fighting their feelings for each other, they need to navigate the dangers of this Fae world and figure out what needs to happen so that they can make sure that the dark Fae King cannot invade the humans. Um, Daisy and Taryn together must decide how much they're willing to sacrifice for family, those they love, and the humankind. So I have a couple excerpts. So this one is at the second mission where Daisy is meeting Randall, who is the buyer of the chalice. So she is basically undercover, and this older gentleman stops her and crowds her space to lock her in, and she lets him basically see her crazy. So, not all doll-like creatures made good playthings. Some came alive in the middle of the night and killed you in your sleep. His eyes widened as his bearing turned rigid. She lifted her right eyebrow slowly, silently asking what he was doing in her way. Zorn was a master of expression, and she tried to leak just as much hostility into it as he would have. Excuse me, the man stammered before clearing his throat. He shuffled away. Huh, that had been easier than expected. Maybe he recognized her, or maybe he recognized Crazy. She was the type of woman who, when her feet hit the floor in the morning, the devil said, "Oh shit, she's up." She'd seen that on a mug once and never forgotten it. And it was a perfect analogy. The next excerpt I'm going to read is when Daisy and Taryn are really starting to they're starting to not fight their feelings for each other. And he is talking to her and telling her his concerns. So he says, "You should stop," he panted, his hands braced against the wall, his chest heaving. "Why?" she asked. She ran her palms upward, one stopping at his collarbone and the other tangling into his hair. Time slowed. Their lips aligned. "This craving, it's almost unbearable," he murmured, a little louder. "If I take this kiss, I will own it. No one will ever taste your lips or delight in the gratification of your kiss without being killed for the pleasure. These," his nose brushed against her as he cut the distance between their lips in half, "will forever," her eyes closed, "be mine." So that just kind of also shows you like his possessiveness of her, and we start to see a little bit more of that struggle to not give in to that want. So I'm going to read you guys a couple of reviews that I came across on Amazon. The first one is from Miss Angs. It says the Gremlin is back. She gives it a 5-star rating and a 2-spice jalapeno. True story. I love this. When Obsidian hit my Kindle, I made up my own military cadence, complete with callback, and shouted out loud to my whole family, "Nothing else is getting done. Obsidian is number one." And I love that. I think it was funny. She goes on to say, "Yes, I'm ridiculous. Even my dog looked at me like I was losing my mind." Sorry, come on, stop it. Okay, losing my mind, LOL. It was, pardon me 1 second. I don't know what this thing is doing. Yes, because it's giving me all the data material, and I'm like, I don't need it.
So she says, "Yes, I'm ridiculous. Even my dog looked at me like I was losing my mind. LOL. But I've been so hype for this book since it was announced. This is my most anticipated read of 2025, and KF Breen brought it to y'all. The Gremlin is freaking back, and she is so stabby. Mess around and get the pointy and BDE. I don't know what that means. What's
big something energy?
Oh, big dick energy.
Yeah.
Okay, we can say that on this. All right. So more like BKE.
Big knife energy.
Oh, big knife energy. And Daisy has it in spades. Though she be small, she be stabby.
Thank you, honey.
There you go.
For helping when technology was.
I've never read that before, so sorry.
This is from Anne, and she's from Australia, so I thought it was cool that she gave a review. It says, "Not all dog creatures make good playthings. Some come alive in the middle of the night and stab you in your sleep." It's kind of a big, like, that was a big statement that you saw on social media, so it's kind of funny that she put it in here. She said, "KF Bean once again gives you a book that leaves you intrigued from start to finish, and not to forget the twists and turns and laughter that we all love and hate because that cliff was just nasty. But we're all here for it. Obsidian is the first book in the spinoff to the Demigods of San Francisco and follows Daisy's story, who we had all come to love." And lastly, KDB says, "A well done spinoff. A solid 4. I'm a huge fan of the Gods of San Francisco series. This was a solid Daisy story with the usual humor and shenanigans I love. The story did feel a bit slower and took me a while to figure out the plot depth, and which was provided towards the end, but very enjoyable read. Looking forward to reading the finale." I would agree, but I loved that it took a little while for us to kind of understand what was going on. So I'll tell you guys, I gave this a 5-star rating. It is fast paced. It's a great storyline. Again, trying to figure out who she should trust, who she shouldn't trust, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, never quite being sure what side of the line Tarian falls on, kind of just keeps you going. It's great character and world building, and it was a great story. I do give it, I would have said like 1.5, but since I don't do half, I'll give it a 2. It is definitely a plot first story, and in true fantasy style, the spice is slow and simmering. However, because it's so slow, there's this charged energy between them, and there's so much tension and sexual frustration that you almost need a knife to cut through it to read the book. If you haven't already read this, I would definitely tell you to read it or put it on your TBR. It's a great read. It's a little long, but I got through it in just like 2 days, so it's definitely doable for a quick read. Also, if you haven't already checked out KF socials, you can find her on Instagram and TikTok as one word KF Breen. And then on Facebook, just normal KF Breen. Go out and give her a follow, as well as check out what she has coming out. She does great media releases on her social media. She'll also let and include any possible public events she has going on in your area. So I would definitely check her out. Lastly, if you're looking for something to do, please go out and check The Bar is Open with Beth and Greg. It's a show I do with the Hubs. We sometimes get a little obnoxious and inappropriate. We're definitely silly, but we can always promise you damn good times. So if you're looking for some laughs and some giggles, come check us out. Until next time, guys, I hope you enjoy your book, and we'll see you soon. Bye.